So sunflowers are in the news a lot lately because of the Russian offensive in Ukraine. And I thought they would be a good subject to kind of work on in class. This will be our last class for a while in pencil. And I think the sunflower is really excellent as an example of how to deal with both value differentiation and many petals. Because this is what I'm about to show you what you should not do. Let's see. I'm having a piece of paper so I can show you this without my paper. This is what people like to do with the sunflower. Right? We like to do a perfectly round circle. What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this?
What is it, Sunny?
It doesn't look three-dimensional.
Why doesn't it look three-dimensional?
Because you can't see any shadows or light in the petals. The way you look at it, you can see that there are sort of striations of shadow that tell you that it's sticking out front or.
Excellent. That's part of it. You're getting to the answer. What is the real crime here?
Well, they're not really shaped that way.
Yes.
The soldiers.
Little soldiers, right? So you'll hear me say this often. And don't laugh. I'm doing this because at some point you guys are probably going to do this. Oh, hi, Francesca. Good to see you. Oops, and I'm wiggling my thing. At some point, you guys are going to do this, right? You're going to make things even when they are not. So my whole goal today is to show you, and you probably noticed because sunflowers are in the news lately, how awful most people paint them. Like, take a look on your Facebook feed, not to be bitchy about it, but this is definitely a subject that people struggle with. They don't know how, like lots of people. I've seen a lot of, I've seen a lot of excellent sunflowers because I'm friends with a lot of artists. But
sorry about that. That's my dog.
That's okay.
Talking to her treat.
Okay, to her treat. Very cute. But one of the things that happens is we create. So this will happen when you get tired, right? You're going to create little things that are exactly the same. But the problem is there's so many petals, right? How do we deal with all these petals and sort of respect the unity of the piece? So that's the first thing that's really hard. So if you do this, don't send it to me. You can do it, but don't send it to me. I don't want to look at it. But the second thing is, we're going to talk about how to handle this. The second thing is, where is the light coming from in this photo? Where's the light coming from?
From the right?
From the right, yes. From the right where?
Up.
Yeah, up, right? So look at what's happening. The thing about sunflowers that's really challenging is to see where the light and the dark parts are hitting. The values can sometimes be tough to spot. So for example, this is kind of rising up and the light's coming from the top, but little bits are light here. It's more light down here. You'll see it more when we go to the black and white. See that? So let's talk about how we deal with a subject like the sunflower and try to get some. How do we approach it when we're starting to draw it? I think that's really the challenge. Of course, there is the circle here, and this guy is kind of a perfect circle. I like to think about a multi-petaled flower in groups, where there's a kind of separated by significant negative space. So clusters that are kind of moving in a certain direction, like say this one, right there. There. Can you see why I'm picking the subjects in the way that I am? Does it make sense? I think I'll bring this over here, right? Because there's sort of significant negative spaces, and the negative spaces will help us kind of get groups in. So as we know with negative spaces, right, it's first about getting the outer shape, and then it's about and respecting the negative spaces in between, right? So getting those shapes right. And then it's about getting the edges, the outer edges of the shape. Does that make sense? Right. So I like to start. You'll notice that most people who paint the sunflowers well don't really do every petal. They kind of get these groups and collections of petals. Is anybody having an aha moment? Like, oh my God, that's how to have, wait till you go through it. It's so much easier. So you can kind of give yourself a fairly simple round circle. But then you're going to try to get these outer shapes. And I'm really paying attention to the negative space shapes. See that? This one doesn't go all the way to the end. It kind of comes here. And then you can kind of compare, like, where are these petals in relation to this, right? Where are the tips of these going? You may correct this a little bit. So when I'm telling you, when you're kind of trying to make decisions about, like, how much detail do I put in, right, to a painting? Where do I put the detail? The answer is almost always edges. And when we create these little bots for us, let's see, I'm still making mistakes this morning. We kind of give ourselves an extra set of edges to kind of focus on that will help us get more nuance and detail. See, immediately I can start to problem solve, like, oh, I see that these kind of, this negative space, it kind of like, right, lines up together. These, what we're doing is we're focusing on the biggest shapes first, the relationship of the clusters next to each other. That's where we put the majority of our detail. I hope so. One of you is going, oh, that makes so much sense. So much more sense than trying to paint every fucking petal. And getting lost in the petals and trying to do every petal. You start with this petal, then you're down here, you realize you've moved all the way down here by the time you finish this one, right? This is not the way to do it. It's not practical, it's not smart, it's not doable. It makes much more sense to organize your petals in clusters based on how they're laying out. So now I'm coming and I'm checking. Yeah, just the shapes. Come up a little bit further. I'm kind of checking my spaces. I should really just always look where my coffee cup is if I'm looking for where my eraser is. That's always where it is.
My little girl.
There we go. Look at the relationships. In some cases, the clusters kind of bump into each other a little bit. The negative space doesn't go all the way to the ground. In other places it does, like here, right? This little shape. Look at, you know, this triangle versus this. This is going to help you get the major shapes. Because why? Because where these shapes are is big edges. It's where it's hard edges. It's where a petal meets background, right? These are the biggest shapes, and these are the ones we want to focus on first.
Mhm.
We'll be doing a little bit more work and practice on this. And Sandra, did you see, oh, and these need to be bigger. Did you see I put out the color one on the thread too, so you can use it?
I also, luckily, I'm going to do this bud as well.
Yes. Oh, wonderful.
'Cause it's
Wonderful.
absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it is really gorgeous. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous, luscious flowers, aren't they?
I mean, I
Just
love
like-
it.
Can you hold up that
Yellow and
again,
green.
Sandra? Can you hold up that one again?
Uh-oh,
Oh,
Diana might be
look at
getting
that.
her
You want to
inspiration.
copy, Diana?
I love it. Yeah.
Send it
Okay.
over. Send it over the thread.
Okay.
Oh,
Be lovely.
beautiful.
By the way, do you see how I'm adjusting things? The other thing that's nice about this is you can kind of check, oh, are these the right size? You know, you can use this method to kind of check how big things are, how long, right?
I got the name of a guy this time.
Oh, we were observing.
Actually, not really.
I find out ironic it is that like the person who posted that was probably Russian.
No, you may have been Ukrainian. It's very
Oh,
difficult
yeah.
to
It's
tell.
hard
They
to
use
tell.
Cyrillic as well. And I
Right, that's
actually
true.
looked online how to tell the difference, but because I can't read Cyrillic, I can't even get there.
I sense a new obsession.
No.
Sandra,
my
like, no more languages,
Korean.
man.
Not the no.
All right,
never
here,
picked up
I'm gonna
from-
send a copy of this over so you can see these clusters up close.
So I'm looking for the thread.
Yeah. Notice that the other thing I'm not really focusing on right now is the stems and the leaves. I'm not really, in fact, I didn't even really leave room for my stems and leaves. You guys can if you want to. Stems and leaves are a kind of a background thing. You may need them, but you're going to add them in later as you start to work your flowering. You decide like, what does this need, right? So, right, I didn't actually plan it very well, so I'm probably going to stop at probably going to stop it at the flower itself, but you will see that adding the stems and leaves in later makes, there are reasons for that decision, right? And the reasons for that decision are, they're more background. So how do they support the flower coming forward? You're going to see more about this as we go through it. Oh, that's beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
You're crazy, Sunny. Sunny is running around this little room trying to find a place to dig down her treat.
Or to hide it.
Aw.
Save it so she can save it. That's why she's
Aw.
And for later when you won't give her any.
exactly. Right now I'm training her to put her toys and stuff in a basket. So
And
You
is
know,
she responding?
yeah, yesterday for the first time when she was done playing with a toy, she went and put it back in the basket.
So
Oh,
that
wow.
and I'm assuming she gets treats when she does that, right?
She didn't, but she got
You
praise.
get praise.
You
yeah.
got praise. Yes, yes.
You know, I have baskets like that, and the dragon occasionally loves to empty them completely on the floor, like
Oh,
spill.
but he doesn't like to put it back in, right? That's so cat.
But
That's so cat.
you know, I had a wild cat, my tiger, who actually that's him. You know, in a previous life, he
Yeah.
used to steal my eye drops from my night table, and when I looked for them, I would find them in his toy basket, empty. He had pierced them and put them in his toy basket.
That is so fun. Cats are so big. Aren't cats
Like,
weird?
I like this, and I'm
love them.
taking it.
I love cats. They're so flippin' funny.
All
They're
animals.
so funny.
Fantastic.
All right. Go ahead and send this in when you think you've got your groups in. So one of the other things that's really challenging about, which I'll just say right now when we're working with sunflowers, of course, is that you'll notice there's not as much differentiation between light, medium, and dark. It's a fairly medium toned. The yellows aren't generally very bright. They're more medium. The center can be dark, but sometimes it's lighter. So you'll notice that the best, I'm, by the way, adjusting my circle as I start to see how my like outer shapes are relating to it. All about relationships. Relationships of things. It's a little bit flatter on top. Right? Yeah, so Julia, just be careful. Observe that this does not come up over that. You have it up. These line up.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, and then I feel like these kind of come out a little bit more. Right? There's kind of more of a point. So they come out a little bit wider here. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. This might feel weird. Your right brain might be fighting with you. It was fascinating to me on Thursday. I took all of the face drawing students from pencil to charcoal, and which we will do next week. We're going to go to charcoal, and definitely we got a lot of beginners in that class, and definitely everyone did much better with the charcoal, like significant. They felt weird about it. Okay, Bettina, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Look at where things are sticking up. Observe this shape. This isn't sticking up like this. These are lining up. Same here, right? Also, this one, you have this one kind of up here, but it's really more at the halfway point. So this is an easy step. Also, pay attention to this shape. And this, so basically, Bettina, every one of your pieces is kind of scrunched up, right? You've got this up here, you've got this here. Observe where this group starts, and this group starts, and move them down a little bit. Once you move this down, you'll see that everything needs to move over a little bit. Same over here. This may seem like a really simple stage, but if you don't get it, we don't get anything else. Oh, Rashmi just posted her sunflower from yesterday. It was really amazing. Anyway, one of the things I wanted to say, oh, hold on here. Okay, Francesca, looking. Yes. This is a little bit wide. Bring it up. Look at this shape a little bit more. Bring it up just a, oh, actually, I'm now observing what I can do. There we go. Yep.
So mine
Bring it
is
up.
wider.
Yours, well,
the
look
normal.
at look at this shape.
Yeah, yeah.
If you
Yeah, no,
try to
you're right.
recreate that
Yeah.
shape, then
Yeah.
you're, I'm, listen, I'm being anal, and this needs to come down a little bit.
Okay.
This one is, I like this one. Yeah, I think everything else is good.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Really, you'll see it as you start to find, you see what I mean? This cluster relates to this cluster how? This petal relates to this petal how? This is, I'm kind of short circuiting your brain, which wants to focus on the detail to make you look at how the clusters relate to each other. These shapes are so important. They're the only, oh yeah, and I can totally see as I just added them in here, right? Like here, hold on, let me do this in a color that looks more visible. Here, 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 sorry, here and here and here. These shapes are really important. The negative spaces that are bounded by the orange. If you don't have these shapes in the right places, you don't have everything else in the right places. So use these. Here, I'm going to send these in so you can really see them. Check them. That'll help you adjust. I was just noticing as I did this for Francesca, look, mine isn't right. Oh, badly up. So I'm going to get this shape more. There we go. Now I have a shape that looks more like this. And actually, this shape still don't quite have it right. So you see, I'm still adjusting. I'm really, once I've got these in, I'm kind of returning to my negative spaces to really get those shapes correct. If you don't have these shapes correct, you won't have anything else correct. And the negative spaces need to be in the right places too, right? People like to toss this off, like this is not important. This is an interesting thing, how much people like to blow off this part. Oh, I can sketch it in, blah, 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 whatever. I'm just gonna put these in, looks like they've got in the right place. This is the beginning of us starting to pay attention to shape and form, and also to know what details to do first. The details to do first are these and these. And if you don't get those right, you will not get the rest of the drawing right. The general theory is we start with the biggest shapes and we move to the smaller ones, right? We move inward. Gesundheit.
Thank you. I might be allergic to sunflowers, who knows?
That's definitely not true. You know, you're doing a great job with those beautiful sunflowers. Oh, as I look at this, I'm like, oh, okay, that. So I'm continually adjusting my shapes. I was looking at this one and noticing, oh, this group looks a little bit big compared to what I'm looking at on the paper. If you can get this, if you can really understand the value of this, your life becomes 100 million times easier. 100 million. And while you guys are adjusting that, the next step, of course, is to pop in here and get in each area, right, to get the outer shape. So once again, as we're going in, I'll show you, right? I am still paying attention to negative shapes, but smaller ones now. Now, and this is going to help me, right? Look at that. All of a sudden, oh yeah, and not only that, it's going to help me kind of reshape my outside too a little bit. See that? Which is going to help me. So that's the kind of second stage. Look at that. This feels, so I was going to tell you, so what was interesting to me about all of these beginners drawing faces in charcoal was that every single one of these very beginners did better. Every single one. And all of them felt weird about it. Like they weren't sure they liked their drawings. But their drawings were so significantly better. It was like, because they were forced to think about bigger shapes and not the smaller ones, right? Not to get obsessive about the eyes, not to like, the very nature of the exercise kind of forced them out of left brain thinking into right brain thinking, and they weren't sure how to think about that. So I guess my point is, one of the things I'm observing, I want you to observe about yourself is when this might look weird and your brain may be resisting it, but if the more you do it, the better your drawing is gonna look. Like literally every single one of them. I was like, don't you guys find this amazing? I mean, when charcoal was introduced to me, I was like, this is how to draw. Because I think very much like a painter. So I already think in like big shapes, dark and light shapes like this naturally. Working with a pencil never felt weird to me. Once I worked with charcoal, you're kind of forced into more bigger, dark and light shapes. And your drawing comes together much quicker. But that for them, it was weird. It felt like this is not how drawing should be. Partly, even though they all did amazing. So it was interesting. Observe in yourself that the thing that you think feels wrong may indeed be right. And the thing that you think is right may indeed be wrong. I'm sure if you're learning a language, there are areas where this is true as you learn like sort of different grammar and logic patterns, right? Although I've never really effectively learned another language, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that. It's on my list of things to do. I like to say I was learning the language of drawing, which I actually think is really true. But think about that. Think about how, here we go, right? How things that you think are right look right. You actually have to change the way you think about what is right and what is wrong. So it's these sort of beginnings that are going to give you, you can see that it's very easy once I get in here to finish this petal. You can see that some petals aren't that important for drawing, right? And others aren't. So this really helps you see where to sort of begin and end your petals, is why it's so important. And this for me, when we get to charcoal, you're going to hear me talk about it quite a lot because it was such a amazing experience for me to be validated as a drawer once we changed mediums. I just never liked, I still don't. The pencil and we've made our peace, but it's not my preferred medium by any stretch. You see, you'll be able to start, as you start getting these in, you're really going to start being able to get the adjustments in. This is how to think like an artist, a drawer. This last one's really funky over here. Just a series of very weird little shapes at the top. That is the most pathetic sound I have ever heard. We're starving, Mommy. Get the chicken out of the oven. We want the chicken out of the oven. Sandra cooks chicken for her kitties. So you probably all know that by now. We talk about it quite a lot because I just love that meowing sound they make. She's like, now they, particularly since she's been working from home and she can be with them all the time, they're just like, their expectations have gone up phenomenally. Oh, let me do the last one. And then I'm going to go make myself a cup of coffee while you guys soldier on with this. You'll notice I'm adjusting my outsides as I start to, as I'm like, oh yeah, that petal can't be so thick. But that shape also has to be the same, which means this has to come up a little bit more, maybe up a little bit more like that. See how I'm using both the negative space and the nuanced shape, the inner edges, top edges of the petal to kind of work my shapes. Oh yeah, that's the big problem. The big problem is this. Yes. This is how we do. Let yourself get absorbed in the world of these shapes. Let your mind adjustments. I'm gonna send mine over. So it's more work on the front end, but manageable work. So that the back end, when you start to get your shading in, doesn't take that long. Right? Shape first, then shading. All right, I'm really gonna. Oh, we're gonna copy now. I'll be right back.
go inside. No, no, no. Sweet.
Let's see. Bettina, look at this shape here.
Yeah.
Look at it and see yours versus it. This is wider. I'm just looking.
Wait, what's wider?
This negative space. I'm pointing right at it. This shape right here.
Mhm.
Mine's probably a little too wide. So I'm going to bring it in. Other than that, it's pretty good. Good adjustment, by the way, getting those back down in the places they're supposed to be. Very good work. All right. And then when you're done with this, of course, now we can start working on some of the petal elucidation, but also the darks and the lights. So I like kind of drawing hard lines around the light petal edges. Here. There's a lot, and this, notice there's because these petals are sticking up and the light's coming this way, they're really picking up the light here. So now you can start drawing some of the hard lines, but really focus on getting kind of the light shapes of the petals. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, let's see. So we've got this guy here. Here's light, here's darker. And then there's this guy here. Now observe that when I draw, oh yeah, look at that. This guy comes up here. Right? So observe that when I draw this guy, there's just kind of a natural petal that goes in the back and is also dark. So see how I'm starting to get my darks and lights in? Welcome to the next your next 45-minute obsession. And actually, these should be higher. You can also erase these, it'll help. Right, observe what's happening kind of in between. It gets kind of dark here. I noticed that these petals kind of come out and then in a bit. They're a little bit skinnier at the base. This is a dark petal. This is a lighter one. So as you start to pull out the light petals, just observe how you can use the dark petals around them to highlight their whiteness, their lightness, their absence of dark. Sometimes you might kind of put these little stripes up in them, but you don't have to do that with everything. See if I did that kind of quickly? One second.
That the crow?
I use a small, like one of those single drip percolators for my coffee, which means I have to grind beans and then boil water and then put the beans, the ground beans in a filter and pour the water over. It's a pour over basically. And I'm like, oh, this is going to stop me from drinking so much coffee. Really, it just now means I spend more time making coffee. Like, oh my God, I spend like many minutes of my day putting my coffee together. Ah, Julia, that looks pretty good. Yeah, so now pop in. Excellent. Look at her sitting in the car, waiting for your friend. That's really awesome. Look at the areas. Let's see what's going to be helpful here for you guys. All right, so this is pretty dark. There's so many darks and light shapes in each. I'm going to let you just kind of deal with them cluster by cluster. Here are the kind of darker areas. Back here, you can kind of see the lights popping out, but there's a lot of dark. So great. Listen, I didn't say it wasn't time consuming. I just said it's a more effective way of using your time. If you want to, you can come in here too and darken your middle. You can always go back out and add little light bits if you want to later. Actually, this would be really nicely done in charcoal because we could just, those would come naturally as we, anyway, you can see I'm like kind of, so that, you know, these darks kind of are not as, you know, they're relative in relation to this dark, which is the darkest. You can totally add that in if you want to. I like, who is it who's been using cross hatching really effectively? Is that you, Bettina? Just been kind of going back and forth.
I don't
Cross-hatching-
think so.
Who was it? Maybe it's Julie. I don't know. Somebody is using this to great effect. Cross hatching is where you just keep going. You know, you keep making like little tic-tac-toe things across the board here. And this is a great way to kind of save a few of these little light dots. Can you see it? So I'm just like basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I could just keep going to get darker. I could just keep going back this way.
I love
This
that.
way. Yep. So try it if you want to. It's a very skilled way of kind of, I'm not great at it. I don't like do it. Mine looks pretty sloppy right now, but I tend to just be, I'm just not a pencil drawer. That's just the truth, you guys. I just can't even. But it is a nice way because you can kind of make your spaces bigger, right? To kind of indicate things getting less dark. Because the really dark stuff is here. And it kind of sneaks up the side here. But the rest of it is lighter. Yeah, I don't have the patience for it. But if you do, try it.
I had to measure the horizon so it doesn't uneven, and it was uneven.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, that, yeah, you usually figured then you can just easily use your,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see I'm getting really bored already with this whole process. I'm like, I'm so done. This is just like, this is what you learn about materials. I'm like, maybe we could have done this lesson in charcoal, but I still think there's something kind of helpful about doing this particular one in pencil. We're gonna start working with this same concept, but multiple subjects next week. I thought this would be a good one to work in our old medium. There we go. I've kind of got this dark. Oh, no, I don't have that shape at all. Here. It's funny, the sunflower in some ways works a little like, it's, and by the way, this is a little bit like a yin yang, not super, but kind of there. Once you get this in, it's easier to kind of adjust your darks on your petals. Right, so I have this petal here. I can erase all this business. That's light. This is kind of darker. This whole shape. This is light, but it's got little streaks in it. Sunflowers are interesting too because they have a significant amount of structure. A lot of flowers have kind of softer and harder parts, right? And this is why people end up going to this, right? So structure meaning lots of hard edges versus soft edges. And what happens is you feel like everything is a hard edge, right? So you got to do it, but it actually isn't true. There's hard edges. You want enough hard edges for the petal shapes to kind of distinguish themselves. But you also want some of the petal shapes, like these ones back here that are behind the light petals, to be indistinct, because that helps create a feeling of 3 dimensions. right? We can't see everything equally. Right, but I want these guys. See that? See what I just did there? So there might be a cluster of 3 or 4 petals here, but I'm really focusing on the light ones to give the structure to. It's funny, I'm just actually kind of trying to figure this out as I'm doing it. I have observed over the last couple weeks how badly lots of people do sunflowers, even people who are supposedly supposed to be good at painting. Oh, it was one woman posted one that was so bad.
You should show us examples of bad ones.
Yeah, I was I was thinking,
I've
is
seen
it
so many,
really,
yeah, I
is it
wonder which
petty?
one.
Is it petty to like show you the bad ones?
Well, no, but you need to
Learn
learn.
from other
To learn
people's
from them.
mistakes.
Right, right. Okay, let me see if I can find a couple. You guys just keep working. I know,
Maybe
right?
you should show it. Maybe you should not record what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bad
that's
ones.
fair enough.
People get embarrassed.
Yeah. Okay. I was just thinking about what came across my feed. Oh yeah, God.
Or
Oh
maybe
my God. And some of
on
these
the-
are first. Okay.
Can you maybe just send it on the thread and
Yeah, 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 yeah. There we go. All right. I'm just going to actually stop the
You were so
recording for a
cool.
minute. Right. Well, Diana, you're always really hyper aware of the background, which is really good, right? Like it's very easy. It's good to do that because the background is a significant part of the painting.
Yep.
The background needs to support your subject.
Sure does.
Right? Yeah, you're right. That was a good not to record that, but helpful to see, right, you guys?
Yeah,
To
and
see
here's-
how you can go wrong, right? Like how you can go wrong, how you can get too. In fact, I have a very specific idea about this because I really feel I love painting florals and ferns and things like that. But I don't want I find that when you elucidate a flower too much, you get too much detail, it loses its energy for me.
Yes.
So the challenge is always to simplify. And how do you do that? I'm simplifying a lot. And so I'm looking for those shapes that will help you not make this too. Listen, forgive me because anybody here on this thread could probably be a granny, and some of us probably are. Like, it's too granny. It's too like country kitchen, right? It's too like, it's not, it's too much like photograph. It's not like it loses its energy.
I think Sandra did a really good job yesterday.
I did too. Yeah, I thought she did great. Yep.
I was wondering.
I thought everybody did. Yeah, actually, I thought everybody did great yesterday.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to share what everybody did yesterday so you guys can see how well this was handled by the painting group. Because you listened, you guys did. You paid a lot of attention to this stuff. Here's Rashmi's. I just love Rashmi's. Rashmi, H's, and Bangalore. And yeah, Sandra's. Let me grab Sandra's. Here's Annika's.
I admire the looseness of the painting.
They're coming. Sandra did
Thank
hers in
God.
watercolor. She did too, and she barely even drew, which was really. I'm
didn't
just
draw
going
at
up and
all.
I'm just going in order. This is Emma Thomason's. I feel like everybody did incredible. I mean, of course, to really nail this, you probably have to paint 100 sunflowers. Oh, here it is. Here's Sandra did very nice. Look at Sandra's. These are in watercolor. Yeah, I think this was paid attention to.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge. It's a balance. We're constantly balancing. Is there anybody else's I missed? Now, Diana's working on this. Diana, can you send over a picture of where yours is at right now?
Okay.
Diana's working bigger. So the bigger you get, the kind of more detail you have to get.
Mine is really big.
Yeah. But you're still paying attention to those shapes.
Yeah. Trying to get this strange angle.
Take the one try.
Oh, so beautiful. I guess what I'm trying to do for you guys is start to show you, I'm trying to explain as clearly as I can kind of how to see these light and dark shapes. Once again, I felt like the results in yesterday's class were fantastic and they weren't like mine. I'm not trying to get you to draw or paint like me, but what I want you to do is kind of direct you in the right sort of thinking to be able to make the right decisions, right? The right painting decisions. In this case, most of the petal is dark and then the kind of edge is light. It's just a, and you know, I think one of the things we learned from that is that like everybody, even a really pro artist, will kind of struggle with that a little bit.
Yes, I think you're right, Leo. It's probably the sort of thing you have to do many of to get good.
Yeah, you do, but it's a good one to practice, right? Because we're seeing them a lot now. And
Yes, for us, it's fantastic. I mean, Van Gogh probably did a few, right? Before.
oh, he did, yeah. And he worked on them quite a bit, yes. Yes, and I think he worked on them quite a bit. Also to sort of see how, like, when you can kind of ignore a petal versus when it's kind of important. Get those shapes in. It's interesting. Yeah, and of course, if we were painting this or doing charcoal, it would be, I feel, easier to get the kind of expressiveness. But so I guess we could have gone to charcoal, but I just wanted us to like focus after observing how hard it was for the faces class intellectually to go to charcoal, even though they did better, they didn't feel like they did better. I was like, there's a lot of big lessons in here on edges. I really wanted to make clear. So I wanted you not to have to be struggling with the medium as well. Plenty of time for that next week. Plenty of time for struggling with the medium later. Also, one of the things I thought was interesting, which I didn't think would be happening, is that the lightest part of the petals, this is acting more like a cup than it is like kind of a flat object that's turning away, right? Although the light's coming from this side, only the tips of the petals are kind of light here and a little bit later here. Most of the really dramatic lights are down here, right? Just like when the cup and light is shining on this side, the inside of the cup is lighter on the opposite side of where the light is, and the outside of the cup is darker. What I mean is this. Where are you? I mean this, right? This open cylinder. So in the lightest part of the flower, sorry, the light's coming from this direction, right? So when the light's coming from this direction, it's lighter on the outside, but it's darker on the inside. So these petals are doing something akin to this. They're poking up and they're getting more light, kind of on the opposite side, away from the dark side of the flower. Oh yeah, that's coming along nicely, Diana.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm actually adding some red edges.
I see it. I see it. I still think this could do with a glaze.
Yeah.
Dark, to push those darks back and
You
really
mean
emphasize your
in
lights.
The greens or the,
No, in the big flower.
oh, okay.
To really push your darks back and kind of neutralize them just a little bit. So a blue maybe, or a purple. Just
I
to
haven't
push.
highlighted them. I haven't really highlighted them yet. I
Yeah,
worked. Yeah, I'm gonna do the dark spots right now. I thought I'd work a little bit on
on the
my,
and the midtones. Yeah, I see what you're doing. You're adding some bright midtones in red.
yeah.
But yeah, just don't forget. Yeah, no, I think it's looking great.
I'll try. I might glaze a portion to see what it looks like.
Yeah, just to see, because I think that will help you kind of balance everything else out. And you don't have to be, so obsessed. That part of that work is kind of already being done for you.
Do you think it's okay to put in these red edges?
Yeah, I do. You're treating it like one of your turquoise midtones. I just give it a little bit of, you're trying to give it a little bit of variation.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure your darks are dark enough.
Yeah.
Right, because those reds will really pop forward.
Yeah.
If like you don't have your darks really clearly.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of keep track of all the darks, so better just to sort of, darken everything and then kind of pull the lights out. Well, you know what I'm trying to say.
No, it's this
It's
one.
a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah,
it's a super balance. It's a really weird balance of like not too much.
Yeah, trying to just have a couple of details in the foreground.
Right. You know who I think really handled it the best yesterday is Rashmi. And I'm going to show you guys again. If you look at her, I'll just pop it up to the front of the thread so you can really see it. If you look at her, I mean, everybody did great. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at this one, so few petals are here. This one with the turquoise background here. Look at how her darks, let's see if I can push this up. If you see, she's got very few petal descriptions, just a few strong petal edges. Almost everything else is handled with these kind of orange washes. And it just turned out, that gives us the movement without, I think she kind of nailed it on the soft, hard, dark, light, simplified form.
I wonder whether her husband took it.
I think he did. I think she told me he did.
It's so nice to have somebody who encourages you that much.
Those two are really cute. I've never even met them in person, but if you look at their Facebook page, they're the cutest, they're the most beautiful, adorable couple ever. Really, really supportive of each other. And totally cute.
I get more orders. It's like, I need you to paint me this.
That's great.
Really?
Yeah.
So what else are you supposed to do next?
Yeah, what are you working on?
Oh, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm sure there's coming more when he's getting in more into the editing.
Ugh.
Let's see. Cyrus sent hers in. She's her daughter's got It's recovering from some breast surgery, hopefully not cancer related.
I think it is cancer related.
It might be cancer related. Yes, you're right. It probably is cancer related. Hopefully things are under control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise outside.
As you can see, I kind of got a little bored. I'll try and get back into it, but I'm very happy to help you guys. I'm like, it really isn't my, all right, I'll get back into it. Jesus. I'm like talking to myself, like, don't quit on your drawing halfway through because you're bored.
Imagine if we said that to you.
Right, I would be like, no, but I assume you're here because you want to learn to draw, right? Like, and you like the medium. It's such a hard, as I said, I've made my peace with the pencil, but it just is not my preferred medium. I just don't, I'm not into it. But yes, you're right. So here, see, I'm working, Sandra, I'm working.
It doesn't look right at all, but I'm kind of so
yeah.
But it's
Sandra, I love this language I am hearing from you lately. I love how much you are letting yourself try things and have fun and not, beat yourself up if they don't turn perfect. I'm really appreciating.
Can you look at it, please?
Oh yeah, did you set it? Okay.
No, I'm holding it up.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Here, hold on. I'm going to put you on.
Getting so good at drawing, Sandra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
it's
nice.
Lovely.
Yeah,
lovely.
very nice.
Really, it doesn't look nice.
Yeah.
Maybe because you're seeing it on screen.
Try it.
It always looks better on screen.
It does.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's good. Add some oranges towards burnt siennas towards the base of the.
But there isn't.
But you can put them in. Oh yeah, use the shadows though. Those are the shadows. Yeah, there's tons of shadows in there. Get your shadows in, and that's going to really help.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I love using all these yellows.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't think I'm going to tire doing sunflowers.
Well, there's no end to the learning, right? They have a lot to teach us.
I mean, it's rare that I fall in love with a subject that's not an animal, but here we are.
It's getting better.
Normally, I don't
All
like.
the time. Normally, what say?
I don't like flowers. I mean, it's just.
They're hard.
But
they're hard and kind of. That's funny. I used to think that same thing, and then I started painting them the way I wanted to see them. And then I realized I just had a very strong vision of what I wanted my flowers to look like. And once I started painting them, I began to love them. But it's so the way I appreciate them is much looser.
I think what I'm enjoying in doing this is that I'm approaching it a bit like fur, like
yeah,
without doing every single one that I see. I'm doing them individually, but in a haphazard fashion, and then I do a bit more.
This is exactly right. This is exactly right, Sandra. Yes. It's exactly like fur. It's exactly like fur.
I think that's what I enjoy about it.
Yeah. So you're starting to see more of the that's exactly it. You got it.
I'm not sure that I'm gonna find a lot of fur-like things.
It's not about the exactness of the fur, it's about the technique.
The impression.
It's about the way of thinking about it. It's about the way of starting. right? That's the real thing. That's the issue. It's more about, it should be everything. You learned, right? Like as an artist, there are ways to approach lots of detail. Now, I choose to teach it as different subjects so that people can start to, but my hope is that you'll begin to cross over and understand, you know, how one thing relates to the other. This thinking that I'm training you on with these sunflowers is exactly the same as the thinking on fur. And then, so eventually my hope is you'll be less about, well, I don't know how to do this fur, I don't know how to do this, and more like, oh, here's how I would approach this. Interesting.
And it's teaching me a lot about loose watercolor, which I've never really done before, not like this, you know, about how you approach it.
Yep. You are
I'm still
definitely
getting
making
lost.
leaps and strides. And I think that your work with the watercolor is actually informing your work, your drawing. I think it's actually influencing, it's coming back, right? Because that's the right medium for you to see it and try it. I think all of the things feed, sorry, I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
No.
I think all the things feed into each other. That's why I said for me, drawing really clicked in once. You'll see, I'm going to start to perk up once we get into charcoal, because I love it so much. Because it really is more the way I like to think about drawing. It's you'll just, for everybody, it's kind of individual. What's the medium that's going to really help you see where you need to go? And how is it possible that everyone can do better in a medium and not feel comfortable with it, right? How is it possible that you can be like, wow, I'm doing this medium, but I still feel weird about it, even though I can physically see the evidence.
They said
that
they
I'm
were
doing
like
better.
very, you said they found it very dirty. I mean,
They
very
found
messy.
it dirty, messy, and also they felt
also
like they
felt-
didn't have enough detail.
Yeah.
And they, you know, and they were like, and I, even though they could see that their drawings, I actually pulled up their drawings from the week before and said, look, it's better. And they were all like, oh, you're right. And still it bothered them, right? Like that they couldn't, that it wasn't the way they were used to thinking about it. So I was just observing that. I just said, I want you to observe that this bothers you, even though you can, it's because it's not, your left brain is kind of fighting these ideas, even though it's very clear that they're helping, it still isn't a natural way to think, right? It's not naturally the way of thinking.
Okay, I glazed my sunflower. I can't
Oh,
say
let's see.
it looks like that. Can you see it?
Let's see, hold it.
It looks dirty.
That's okay. Yeah, no,
This-
that's good. This is perfect.
even the-
Now
look
now
like-
you get your, now you go back in with your yellows, wipe off your yellows, but now you can like really push those, the brights forward. Now focus on the brights.
Okay.
Are you guys, did your parents like tell you did people's parents tell them your drawings looked dirty ever?
No, I
I
remember
hear- yeah.
earliest memories I have of drawing, and I was very little. I was maybe like 3 or 4. And I used to sit in my father's pharmacy, and he had gave me notebooks, and I used to draw, and he said, "Wow, this is really good. You're going to become a really good artist."
Yes.
And when I was a bit older, I looked at them and I thought, "Look how absolutely horrible. What was he
Oh,
talking about?
that's so cute. But that's
he
really
was
lovely. That's exactly what you needed to hear in that moment, right? That's exactly what you needed to hear.
The opposite of my brother.
No, Paul, no, but you needed your father there. At that time, you need your dad to tell you the right, we need encouragement.
I mean,
I
he could
will-
have not said nothing. He could have said nothing, but it was like, wow. A few years later, I mean, quite a few years later, when I was doing Chinese painting, he saw my Chinese paintings and he said, wow, they're really good. Can I have some? So I gave him some. And then I asked my brother, I said, who was there, I said, do you want some? He said, no. He said, I'll wait till you get better. I'm still very much his approach.
Oh my God, my parents have a bunch of my paintings from my first couple years as an artist, and they put them on the walls, and a couple of friends of mine do too, and it's painful.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I please just give you something different to put up? No, it's painful, but it's good to be reminded. Actually, some are good. Some of them are like, oh, they're so bad. I love how sweet my friends were in supporting me when I wasn't very good. Sometimes they look at my work now and they're like, God damn, we didn't know you were really good. We didn't know you could actually do this. Well, I just think their own expectations rise, right? Like if you think about it, a lot of people aren't sure how to think about art, right? It's a trigger point. They're not really sure how to approach it. They haven't been trained on what's good, what's not good, right? So they're likely to respond to color or something. And later, sometimes people just take delight in stuff that isn't that good because they like the color or they like the subject or they like the person or all of that, right? Like it's not that like fantastic, but you might love it, right? So that's also
at the
kind
end of the day, they just have to go with what they like,
right at the end of the day, right? But also,
I mean, a lot of people own art without being that knowledgeable about it.
I think it's kind of
just
the
as
last
well.
frontier. I think people feel shy about it, like saying what they like. I have been trained because I do a lot of open studios. When somebody stands in front of a painting of mine and says, wow, I really like this, instead of talking about what I was thinking about, I always ask them, why? And they're the most interesting answers. Also, very often sales painting. I tell artists all the time, shut up and ask people why they like something, and you're much more likely to sell it.
Really?
They're like, oh yes, because they have to make that connection that what they think about they're the one that's going to live with the art, right? So they have to tell you why they like it. I have this painting of a cityscape. It was of a big. It was a 4x4 foot painting, and it had a picture. It was a picture of a back of a car, rainy car, headlights next to a train track, waiting for a train to go by. With the thing down, and we had some guests staying at our house. I rented Airbnb. They came into the studio, and one of the middle-aged guys stopped and he stared at it and he went, "I love that." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "It reminds me of being 15 and getting into trouble."
Oh, wow. So it's
like a cityscape. Yeah, that's what you have to do. Well, I think it's important if somebody's going to commune with your work to train them to talk about why, right?
You're not afraid they're going to look at it closer and say, actually, I don't like it.
No one would ever do that. They just make something up. If they like something, if they're staring at something, they like it.
I find, the things that one like, it's like impressions from childhood.
Yeah.
It kind of triggers something.
A whole set of things, right? And fantasies and peaceful havens and sometimes not peaceful things, right? Like sometimes it's expected. Once I sold a painting. I did have one woman. So when I was living in Armenia in 2008, there was a kind of a protest which was put down very brutally by police. In Yerevan, yes, it was pretty traumatic. And, you know, Molotov cocktails were used and all kinds of fucked up stuff and tracer missiles. And it was terrifying. And the next day I went out, martial law was declared. And the next day I went out and I was taking photos, and I took a photo of a Lada, a Russian car that had been blown to bits. And I just painted, I just took a close up of the hood of the car and I painted a kind of abstract painting. And I remember a woman standing in front, I showed that painting and she stood in front of my painting and said, "This really upsets me, this painting." And then I told her, I was like, she's like, "What, why does this painting upset me so much?" It's not bad, it's just upsetting. And I told her the context to it and she bought it, because like, even the uncomfortable feelings, like she was a lawyer for the UN. I was living in Croatia at the time. She was prosecuting hate crimes, perpetrated by Slobodan Milosevic. And, so she was kind of surrounded by this heaviness all the time. And the painting evoked a feeling for her, but it also expressed, kind of got it out. Do you know what I mean? Got it out. So once, that's the only time it's ever happened, somebody stood and said, "I really am upset by this painting. Why?" And then I said what it was, and she went, "Oh, I think I need to own this." She put it in her office. I guess when you're a lawyer prosecuting hate crimes, you spend a lot of time in that place anyway. But mostly people will say, "This makes me feel something good."
Hopefully
No.
something good. If you're
Yeah,
gonna
but you know,
And if you
or whatever,
take it
it makes
home.
me feel something, right? It makes me feel something.
But if you think at some Picasso painting that they are very
Guernica?
sad.
Yeah,
No, but also like Guernica is like violent, but also like I like the clowns and the circus, you know?
yes.
They have all, and they have sad faces, but it's not disturbing. It's something. It helps you like putting out your sadness in a
Yes.
sense, no? It's
Right.
like communicating, and you can like think, "Oh, he's sad like I am sometimes."
Yes.
And it's nice.
You're
It's-
right.
Yeah, I like it.
You know, Francesca, thank you for bringing that up, because I was just thinking today about like how fucking sad it is right now, how hard it is to like be holding like oneself up, and not just because of the war on Ukraine, because of a lot of things. And I have found lately that sometimes I have to paint something, I have to put all that into a painting. So I put all that in a painting this week because I couldn't bear it otherwise. And, you know, I felt a little better, like a little, it's not that the sadness went away, but I was able to carry it a little bit easier. Yeah, to express it. I have a big painting I'm working on. I just decided, fuck it, I'm going to make it big. I'll probably keep it. Who knows if anybody will want it.
Can you show it?
Yeah.
Can you show it?
Yeah, it's not done yet, but I
Thank
can
you.
definitely show it. Hold on. See. Thank you for asking.
Macro.
Micro. So I just sent it across the thread.
Oh,
Wow.
Do you think it gets any sadness? Do you get sadness? when
no,
you
I
see
love
it?
that.
Loneliness.
I guess it's lonely.
Loneliness.
Yeah. the
Yeah,
loneliness.
loneliness, a little isolation, a little sadness. Yeah, I had to intentionally pour it into the painting. Otherwise, I thought I was going to explode. And it helped.
Yeah.
It also,
I was going to say, it's a kind of release that you get from also talking to someone about something.
yeah.
I remember when I was in, I don't know, when I discovered the existence of snuff videos, I was so, where people film actual killings.
Yes.
I was so sick about it. I was so distraught, and I discussed it with my brother, and I felt bad bringing it up because I didn't know whether he knew about it or not. But it made me feel so good to be able to talk about it. And
Yeah.
it's a bit like you exorcise the feeling,
And I think it helps to validate the feeling, right? We are human. We're all going to experience loss, and we are all going to experience sadness. We all will. We all have. It's part of who we are. We lose things, we lose everything. We lose ourselves eventually. So there is a kind of lament underneath the beauty that runs like a river right through it. That's kind of always going to pop up. Yeah, I just think sometimes you have to, sometimes you just have to paint it. I had to make the decision that I'll, of course, like everything else, I'll make it available, but I'll probably just hang it in my house. It's like, I don't know if anybody, I had to make the decision, okay, maybe nobody will want this because it's a little bit too upset, but maybe not. Maybe it's just the right kind of upset for somebody. It's like, it's a funny thing. Like, I agree. There's something. I have a friend who says that she cries every day for 5 minutes, and it feels really about whatever is making her sad. She said it feels really good.
It's hard not to these days.
Yeah, right.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
I'm not sure I would
sometimes
like to wallow in it.
I was taught not to cry so much. I mean, not to show, at least,
Right. Do you cry in the day?
Sometimes, but yeah. At the beginning, I felt a bit ashamed. But then, for example, I used to cry when I see movies or I listen to music also sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes I can't cry about the real thing, but I can cry about the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's weird.
I was looking at my my boyfriend last night was crying. He's a stagehand, and one of the stagehands, there's a twin, so he's a stagehand, which means he sets up like stages and stuff. It means they're very close, right? It's a close-knit team of people who goes in. He found out that like two twins, stagehands, who are girls, who are twins, one of them died in the night. She was 30 something, though nobody really knows what happened. And he was crying about, he doesn't even know these people. And he even said, I don't really know them, but this is so upsetting to me. And he cries. And I think he sometimes doesn't even cry about the, things closer to him, but he says it's weird that I can cry about somebody I don't really even know and really worry about them. It was an interesting conversation, like how we kind of almost have to push our crying onto something that's more metaphorical. I guess that's why movies are important.
I think when you cry about, in movies, no how to press or triggers, but if you cry about something like this, like the twins, so it's because it elicits something in you, like it wakes up a sadness that you had about your life.
Right. Well, we all have sadness about our life, right? There's no
about
question
the way
about
that you felt at one stage when you lost someone, or when,
or we're scared, or we're like upset, or
But I think you're right. I think you have to express these feelings instead of bottling them up. I don't know that I would cry every day, because in a way, it kind of makes it surge to the front.
It can overwhelm.
Yeah, I don't know. You kind of wallow in it in a way. There's something which there's something, and I don't know what it's called, but you think about, you kind of tap your body, or somebody can do it for you. You can even do it.
Yes.
What is it called? And you
It's
recall
called,
it.
I did it. My therapist and I do it. It's amazing.
Hug
Um,
yourself.
You're basically tapping pressure points. God, I can do it. I know where they are. I'll show you guys actually if you want
Oh,
to.
yes, please.
Does anybody want to see them? You can do
Yes,
it.
I
Yeah,
would like
it's
to.
here. Stop for a second. Stop what you're doing. Take a look. I'll show you. You start by tapping the top of your head like this gently. And then you kind of come around. You go to the center here. You go around the eye sockets, really. It feels really good. Down here. So around the eye sockets, right? And then here.
Below the nose.
And then here. Chin. Actually, yeah, areas where there's a change in plane. Then here, I'll have to show you the last one. And then the last one is, I have to stand up to show you it. It's like here. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Here on the breastplate and then here.
Ah,
And then you just go back up. Why can't I remember the name of it?
I know, I did it to my cat once, and
It's-
when you've had something traumatic, it's good to recall and do this.
Yes, that's what she does, a lot of trauma work. It's not
ASM.
EMDR.
It's called
it's
ASM.
ISM. Thank you.
A-
What is it
ASM.
stand for?
ISM, right.
A-
What does it
ASM.
stand for?
ASM, right.
But
and
what
it
does it
feels-
stand for?
It's, you hit acupressure points, it just moves.
No, but it's
It-
got the name, it's got a, is it an acronym?
ASM,
Yes.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
find out. You guys keep
Yeah.
drawing, I'll figure it out. Here, hold on.
My
It's-
daughter's so into this. She loves it. Lucy.
It's really good. It's really good. It's for
It's
me, so talk about crying, Francesca, if you want to move anything. This,
I
like,
would rather better than cry. Or,
well,
know,
you will
but-
cry if it happens. You will. It'll move. Whatever needs to move, you will. Whatever emotion is blocked, it moves it and then shuffles it through. You'll cry, then you'll feel better.
Exactly. At least it feels like
It
you're
moves things.
exercising it, you're kind of removing it.
I can't believe it. I've done it for so long and I can't remember the actual.
So you all are making me think about drawing, and I happened to read an article last night, not an article, a short story in the New Yorker last night when I had insomnia.
Uh-huh.
And it's in the current issue of the New Yorker. It's called One Son Only. And it's a really interesting short story about a child who is drawing pictures that have made his school and parents concerned. And it's just takes place in one day where his father is trying to interpret the drawing. Because
Wow.
the child has a janitor had a heart attack in the school cafeteria and died in front of the children. And also the child's grandfather died recently, and you're kind of unpacking the child's psychology by the father looking at the drawings, except everybody, because they are the children and grandchildren of a famous artist. So everybody in the family draws. And so it's a really interesting story. Anyway,
Send it over to us. Send it over to us.
I think I just did. If there's no paywall, I think I did.
Okay, good.
Do you see it? Oh, wait. Wait a minute. Did you get it? Let me see. Yeah, it's called One Son Only.
Son
I have-
only.
I have the New Yorker, so I look at it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's that's some good shit.
So,
Like a drug.
I'm gonna send my picture, Leah, but
Yeah.
I went and I did the stem because I had to.
Oh, I'm glad you did. I'm sorry. I didn't even get there. You should. You should.
And,
Absolutely.
And I don't know.
Let me see it. Hold on. Let me get my phone. Hold on.
Whoops.
I also did the stem.
Send it over. Sorry, my phone was
on my
charging
painting.
far away from my.
I did Elia. I have drips on my painting.
Yes.
Embrace them.
One sun. Oh, thank you. Yes, we got it. Oh, geez, that's beautiful. Oh, Bettina, it's coming along. So what I would do now, I like it. I'm glad you added the stems in, is just soften, go back in with your eraser to the lightest parts of all the petals and pull them out with your eraser to really brighten them. That's the last thing you want to do. We have 15 minutes left, so do it. And make sure you darken your stem. If you look, the stem is the darkest thing. So really darken.
Okay.
Also, the other thing you might do is take your eraser to that line in the middle of your, center. You'll notice you have it straight across, and it's really more of a wavy line. So
Wait, which middle of center what?
the middle of the center of your flower, the seed part, you have a line that's just going straight across.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not what's really happening. So take
Yeah,
your
yeah.
eraser in and kind of
That's gonna
create
be
that,
hard.
soften those lines. So that's a place that what happened is you got tired and then you stopped looking, right? So it's an interesting thing to observe. We are this is why I point out at the beginning, these are the mistakes everybody's going to make because we're all going to make them, right? You get tired and then with something like a sunflower, you can't really get away with it. You want to? But like the sunflower won't allow you.
Now? What do you think I should do now? Should I?
Let me look. Let me look. Okay, so you've glazed, right?
Yeah.
And now you're going back. I just think you should add highlights.
I have added highlights.
I would add some more, I would do a highlight with like a lemon yellow and white, or like some kind of
So
cool yellow.
really light.
Yeah,
so
like
really
a couple of really lights.
Okay, then I'm
and
gonna go and yeah.
And then and do them. It looks like they're sort of on the opposite. They're like on the bottom left kind of area. That's where the few of them are. And then if you can add one or two tiny little brights on on a couple of your flowers in the background, I think you're done.
Okay.
Oh, there's one other thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's look at that. Look at the line where your horizon ends.
Yeah.
I feel it's a little straight for what's actually.
It is. I
would go just to make a little bit of a wobbly edge, dark edge. And
because it's a flower field. Yeah.
This is beautiful. And then I think you should put it up and light an incense and a candle every day to help
No, but the horizon is right. I was thinking of that and then I forgot about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's beautiful. I really love it. And it's so big.
It is.
I love it. You always do it the hardest things, Diana. It's really admirable. Anybody else want to send where their flowers are? I promise I won't rip them.
Position. Let me show you. Oops.
Are you holding it up? Okay, let's see. Oh, Sandra, I already like that and I haven't even seen it. Yes. Very nice work on shadows. Very nice. Beautiful. I know you're happy too. You know you're happy.
Well, not really. I feel
Happier.
Actually, I realize I need Jessica's class, but I don't know much about composition because I always do portraits and obviously.
Ooh, Francesca, lovely.
Thank you.
Are you happy with this one? I love.
Yeah.
So it's you I've been seeing who's been doing this wonderful cross hatching in your shadows. I love it. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Bravo. Oh, I love it. I love it. Did it help? Was it helpful to work on this subject?
Yeah. It really helps to do the clusters because
Oh.
otherwise I get lost.
You lose your
totally.
mind, right?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, you're right.
You lose your mind. Like you have a starting and an ending point at least, and you know this group has to fit in here. This is beautiful, wonderful. Oh,
Thank you.
bravo, no little soldiers. Okay, I'm gonna have to try and find some time to post these on Instagram. I hope you guys don't mind. They're really great. Sandra, I want you to send yours across today too when you're done.
All of them, yes.
Send out anything else. We've got about 10 minutes left. So I'll tell you the honest truth, Francesca, yours looks really good. I'm just looking to see if there's 10 minutes more of work you can do to it, but I just don't think there is. So you can go get another coffee.
I'm doing the leaf.
Yeah, do the leaf. Perfect.
The leaf.
Oh, Julia, look at these. Oh, look at how Julia is working her bottom edges as well as her top ones. Look at that. So where the petals meet the, Julia, bravo, 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 bravo. This is wonderful. Oh my God. In some ways, it's funny. You could stop at any time and just stop drawing this and it would still, because you've got the sort of shapes so well done. Oh, it's fantastic. Bravo. Keep going. You guys,
you.
and I love that these are, so if you look at Francesca's, you look at Julia's, very different and yet both equally magnificent, right? Look at Sandra's, look at Diana's, look at Bettina's. Different. The way we're doing the shapes and the forms, look at mine, different from mine, right? And they're magnificent. They're absolutely magnificent. I knew this exercise. This exercise seems to bring out a lot in people, a lot of people's sort of innate sense of how they like to do things.
What are we doing tomorrow, Leanne?
In class, I was thinking about painting a couple of, like maybe, well, there is a lily that needs to be finished for the oil painting people. And I thought we'd also start a sunflower. So I think we probably
good.
spend the
I wanna
first
do
half
more.
starting a sunflower. So I'll pick a different one, but something kind of similar. And then the second half we'll work on finishing the lily. Because with oil painting, a lot of times you got to wait.
Oh, right. Yes.
to
So you
work on it. So
put
you
the
generally have
text
to work on it over two. I got very ambitious with this lily and then quickly realized, wait a minute, we're not, I can't finish this today. There's no way they're going to be able to finish this today. Let's let it wait for a week. And then last week, of course, the three of us just painted. So yeah, we'll do, yes. There will be another
Last week
sunflower.
I started mine. I think it was not
Last week you started it. I think you actually painted over the
Yeah. That's
lily
what
on that day,
Yeah.
on Sunday.
that's
I know
what
all the days kind of blur together.
Yeah.
You guys, these are just magnificent. I'm so proud of you. I feel like you took this lesson and ran with it. And this makes me, as a teacher, it's very gratifying to see students do so well. Mm.
Are you working today, Sandra?
No, it's Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get it wrong, but
I don't know. Yeah, all of us are like, what day is it? I don't
yeah,
know.
exactly.
Day 600 and something of absurdity.
College goes back to no masks on Monday.
Really?
I
No
think
masks.
it's pretty
nothing.
much, and it's a shame because we were suddenly after listening to a State of the Union, you think, well, COVID is now gone for now, but now if there's the war, which is even worse,
Yeah. Yeah.
we so needed a break.
Yeah.
Totally. Now,
Totally.
first only writing about COVID, and now only writing
Writing
about
the war.
the effect of the war. Yeah,
Right.
it's crazy.
Okay, Francesca, you officially have a permission for me to go cry. Everybody has
Thank you.
permission. You have permission to cry for a little while, and maybe also to laugh at how awful it is, and maybe also to paint it, draw or paint it. In fact, I feel a little bit you guys have drawn or painted into your drawings. I feel a little bit of emotion in these. So I appreciate that. Do what you need to do. Oh,
Actually, Leah-
Bettina, very nice. Super. Look at the improvement of those like kind of workarounds, right? Like, yeah, love it. I love it.
Thank you. I was going to say about your painting, Leah, that it's not only sad, I thought it also looks resolute.
It is a little resolute. Yes. I'm thinking a lot about like loss and death and those kind of things, confronting my fears about
Oh,
them.
God.
Lots of people, right? Like, yes, I
I feel like
know.
I've spent the whole year doing that.
Just doing nothing but that, right? A little bit. Thank you. Thank you. I'm working on it. I like it. It definitely expresses something in me that needed to come out. And it feels
Exactly.
better to look at it and see it out. Like it feels like somehow it's not stuck in me, like in my throat or in my chest. You know that you have that feeling of like emotions being stuck in you. Thank you. It's definitely, I like it. It's weird for me to work on something so big for me. Like I'm normally, if I'm going to take up that much real estate working on something, I'm totally going to try and sell it. But like this one, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to keep it.
Actually, I'm sending you this thing. Tell me if more needs doing.
But I bet no, because it was looking pretty much
Convinced
done.
you wouldn't sell it. I think
What?
you might.
Yeah, I might. You guys, these are really fantastic. They are really gorgeous. Does anybody mind if I post theirs? Julia, I'll wait till you're done. I can wait a day or two till you're done. Can I post these
First away.
Sure, yeah.
on
I'm gonna
Instagram?
finish it.
Okay.
Wait,
That's
so
for sure.
I'm still looking at your picture, Leah, and I think it actually also communicates strength that somebody might be interested in, like why they would
Oh, I love
hang
that.
it. Because some people might be tired of the completely idealized images, and there are just days when people feel more like this.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I like
Take a
it.
picture of it.
You know who does that really well, who captures that sense of strength, but also loneliness, is Hopper. Edward
Yes.
Hopper, right? Like Hopper really, like if you look at a
How
painting
about
of
those?
his,
Or Wyeth. I was thinking
or
Andrew Wyeth.
Wyeth,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
Hoppers are so depressing.
Yeah, they are.
No,
But
no.
yes,
Oh.
but no, oh my.
I have
Oh.
two uppers, two posters,
Oh,
not the the real
but-
painting in my
oh,
house.
You have a
the
Hopper?
like
in your
them.
house?
No,
Oh.
it's a poster.
A poster.
course.
You've got a couple
Yeah.
Hoppers.
Yeah, I
ones?
like them. The houses at dusk, I think,
Yes.
and the gas station.
Oh, I love the gas station.
I,
Yeah.
I just think they so stone cold.
They're hard. They're hard. He was not a happy guy. He was not a
No,
happy guy.
and you can see his hate of women in his painting, and oh no,
Oh, really?
yeah,
I didn't have that impression.
yeah.
I
He,
like.
I mean, Yeah, he lived in a really, really unhappy marriage, and he used his wife as the model, and they're always like eluding hate. I'll send you a depressing picture I have on my wall in here.
Yes,
him?
but also I want to hear what Francesca has to say about how you feel.
I'm so
just-
sorry.
No,
Food.
I like very much
that's
the
beautiful.
Hopper painting with the two ladies eating dim sum. I think it's the name of the painting. Maybe I like because it's soft, and I like also like the colors and the way the ladies are dressed with the hats and the lights. I don't know, maybe, yeah, they're not like giving the impression of very happy people, but it's like there is a softness inside.
Maybe he has all of those things kind of warring with himself, right? That's mostly what we are. By the way, Diana, what is that painting? Who did that painting?
I have no idea.
That is
It's something
great.
something I bought at the thrift store because I wanted a frame, and then I just hanged it on the wall, and it's like just there.
So isn't it interesting that like Francesca's type of sad or interesting or weird, like the kind that she can take as a Hopper type, the kind that Diana can take as a building type, right? Like that we all have these things that we like, that we don't like, that we project on, that we don't project on. Does Hopper hate women? Maybe, but maybe he doesn't, or maybe it's more nuanced than that, right? Like that's the thing that's really, and that's where all these different opinions are so valid, because your reaction to the art is going to help you. It's going to help, like, you know, help you figure out what it is that bothers you or doesn't bother you. And thank you guys. This is such a wonderful discussion. And thank you for looking at my painting and talking about my painting. I really appreciate that. That makes me feel very good. I feel all of these things in your work as well. So I think we're putting a lot into these sunflowers. And I appreciate your talking about all the different artists, and we just have to continue this. I'd like to, here, I'm going to